Hi.
Hi.
We are Mark and Sophie from Vanlife Eats, and we are here at Vanlife Summit to talk you through some tips and hacks for cooking in your van. So we can't do this presentation live, I'm afraid. We are in the live chat below, so if you've got any questions you want to ask us, do comment below. But being we're in the UK, it's 11 o'clock at night for us. It's a little bit late for us to be doing a demo in our van. So do ask any questions you want to below. And in the meantime, Mark is going to start cooking a delicious meal. What are you making today?
I'll do some cooking while you're showing off some of our gadgets, and welcome to our van, our home, by the way. So I'm going to be cooking what's it's a family favourite, something we always look forward to when we were visiting our nan. Sadly, my nan passed away a couple of years ago, but thankfully we managed to dissect her brain and we managed to get all of her recipes into a top secret family only recipe book. But I'm going to be a little bit sneaky and share with you something that like I say, it's a real family favourite. We call it pasta fagioli, or pasta fagioli, if you want to say it properly. Where my family are from, in south of Italy, it's a bit like slang, really, isn't it? It's
different dialects for different regions and different areas.
Yeah, it's easier to learn because you haven't got to worry about is it an A at the end, an I at the end, or an O at the end. But yeah, pasta fagioli. Okay, so I'll start doing that.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to bring you a little bit closer to the action, so bear with. Okay, so starting up with an onion going in, and this is going to actually be our first gadget that we're going to show you. So Mark is going to cut the onion using a Zylus Easypool, which I will show you here.
Something we use probably a couple of times a day really in here, don't we?
Yeah, it's a really useful gadget actually, and this is a manual food processor, so it can be used to chop up vegetables, it can be used to puree sauces. It's got a number of different uses, to be fair, and the best thing about it is it's just powered by you. No electricity needed. The blades are really sharp. The Zylus one is one that we like to use because of the good quality blades in there, but do be careful when washing up because, like I say, they are quite sharp and the sharpness does last, so they are quite good quality. So you can literally stick half an onion in there, or an onion halved, and it will blitz it up for you. The amount of pulls that you give it will depend on how finely sliced it is, which Mark is going to demo for you guys now. And like I say, on our website you will see all of these links to all of these gadgets, so don't worry about remembering any names, or we can comment them in the chat below as well.
Okay, so as Sophie said, really just chopped it in half just so it fits, but those blades are so sharp that they will slice through anything. We did try some of the cheap Amazon ones. Actually, you can buy them, I think they're about £10, but they broke quite quickly. Yeah, look how easy that is. There we go, and that was that 5 pulls?
Yeah, you can see that's nicely diced there, which is what you want for this recipe. And then, like we say, you do it as many times as you like and get that down to a fine blitz.
You can nearly puree. 10 pulls will be a real fine chop. But yeah, I'm just making a sofrito here, so some celery, some onions and some carrot as well.
So the great thing with the hand blenders is that, one, it saves having the mess in your van. So if you're anything like me, when you're chopping, there'll be bits flying everywhere. And our van is handmade, it is quite rustic, there are gaps for things to fall into, so actually keeping it contained in the hand blender is great. The other thing is that when you're chopping onions, it's all contained in there, so it means no tears.
There's our sofrito.
Okay, so that's going to go into the pan very shortly. We'll get our pan heated up and we'll...
No, this has got an ignition on this hob, but I just never wired it up for some reason. It's simple to wire up, I just haven't. Because I always use my favourite, this is probably my favourite gadget, you know, a blowtorch, £5 from Amazon, but I use it for everything because it's just that one thing that you miss really when you're when you don't have an oven like us, just to get that crispy top. And I just blow everything over with the blowtorch just to get that crisp. Works really well for pizza.
I was going to say, it's really great for pizza. So like Mark's already said, we don't have an oven. but we are able to cook pizzas in our pan, and it means that we can use the blowtorch and get that nice crispy top. So Mark's sticking some olive oil into there.
So I'm just going to heat up the pan there. I'm an olive oil snob, aren't I?
You are. Are you going to put the recipe up for this on the website?
If I want to wake up with a horse's head in my bed.
So this is a top secret family recipe, so we're kind of guiding you through it. We may put a version of it up on the website, but we can't give away non-secret recipes. So yeah, for now you'll just have to watch and try and take tips as we go along. So this leads us to another great tip in the van, actually, is to invest in a good pan. So we're using the Flavorstone pan at the moment, which is a multi-purpose pan. So you can shallow fry in it, deep fry in it, and it's even got a steamer basket, so you can steam in it as well. It's got a lid that you can cook things, and they can cook nicely with the lid on. And yeah, I think it's very lightweight. It can be used on a number of different hob tops, including induction. So it's really lightweight as well, which is great for van life. But I think that's definitely a good tip or hack for cooking in your van, and the equipment and things that you use is to try and make sure things are multi-purpose where possible, because it does mean that it's going to save space in your van if you can do one thing the things in one pan rather than having a different pan for everything. It's going to be a great tip for you.
So this pan, when we got it, literally replaced 3 pans, 4 pans maybe. Yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely love it. It was a bit of a spontaneous buy when I'd had a glass of wine and I was at your house, wasn't I, and watching the shopping channel about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, look at this pan. And then before Soph knew it, I bought it. I regretted it afterwards because it was about 70 pounds. But actually, it's the best thing. And actually, I've gone and brought some for Sophie's house kitchen.
Yeah, it's been a bit of an investment. So like Mark says, Mark is pretty much full-time in the van. I'm a bit too much of a pampered princess to be at that point. So I am very much part-time, weekend warrior in the van. So we are lucky enough that we do have the van and also a backup of a house. But yeah, Mark's pretty much full-time in here. So a lot of the cooking tips and hacks have kind of just come from your experiences cooking in the van over the last few years, haven't they? Yeah. And then as we have been cooking together, we've found new tips and hacks, really.
I'm just going to put the kettle on because I'm going to need some stock. So as much as I love using fresh stock, it's just a stock cube and some hot water for this one.
So I think another great tip for cooking in your van is to try and minimise washing up, basically.
So the Zylus effectively does stop your, because you're using the blender, it stops the tears. But I'm starting to cry, but we need to talk
Not
about...
when you're cooking, so yeah, let's talk about ventilation.
I made the schoolboy error and I haven't put the ventilation on. So I think it's important really when you're planning your build of your van to have this down to a fine plan. You just really need an in and an out. So you need to...
Oh my goodness, that is such a strong onion.
I'm just going to turn it on before I talk. But that is extracting the air out, and the window here, which I've purposely put near the oven, still near the hob, is just sucking it through. So I've got circulation here where it needs to be.
I'm just going to stand here and cry for a minute. That is a really, really strong onion. So the other great tip with van life cooking is try and minimise your washing up. A lot of us have limited water available. A lot of us don't want to have to keep getting rid of our grey waste. So actually, by cooking everything in one pan where possible, it does mean that you're going to have less washing up, and a good non-stick pan was going to make washing up even easier. So that's another good couple of tips for you.
So just going back to the recipe, 1 tin of borlotti beans, including the liquid gold inside. So I'm just going to pour that into the sofrito. Now the sofrito's softened. And then using the tin as almost like a measure, I'm going to take that and then I'm going to take the stock cube and put the stock cube in the tin. Why use a mixing bowl? You know, less washing up is best.
multi-purpose as well. A tin for food can then become your measuring device for your stock. So
just
win-win.
mash that up a bit. The water's getting hot, and I'm just going to make up my stock in there.
So this is a vegetarian dish traditionally, is it? Or
Yeah, vegetarian. There is cheese in it, but you can obviously swap out the cheese for vegan cheese if you wanted to, or no cheese at all.
make it easy to adapt to a vegan adaptation as well, which is great. Okay, so I guess some other tips that we've got for our van is to have good storage, really. Mark does have a lot of stuff in the van kitchen. Being a foodie, it does mean there is stuff potentially everywhere, which is why we've got our overhead cabinets, which means we can store some of our perishable goods up there, and even some of our non-perishable stuff as well. Keeps it out the way if you're likely to get mice and things in the van, actually, so it's quite a good place to store things like that. We also have our storage under our counter as well, where we've got our gas and our water and things like that. And we have our lovely worktop. You've got quite a nice big worktop area in here, haven't we? Because you wanted to prioritise having the space to do cooking in the van, and having that worktop space, because when that's limited, it can be problematic cooking in a tiny space. Things get stacked up everywhere. So yeah.
And we had to, when we designed the van, didn't we? Between us, we've got 5 children, so we needed to make this van work for when we all go away, which when we all go away is incredibly stressful for me because it's my home. This is
put it this way, I think we went one night before we ended up going to buy a 9-man tent, so
throw the kids in the tent.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why we've got a bit of an odd shape. I don't know if you can see this, but I'll bring the camera across so you can. But as you can see here,
we've got the curve.
We've had to shape it round so that we get enough worktop space, yet enough space for where the seating area is. I'll show you the seating area. Like so. But I do love having a seating area.
Yeah, and it's nice when we eat our meals and things like that. It's nice to have a table to sit on, to sit at, I should say, and be able to have a nice meal, isn't it? And if we have got the kids in the van, even if they're out in the tent, they do sometimes come and sit in the van to eat, because then they can plug their devices in, which, when you've got kids, the devices are the holy grail of everything, aren't they?
Yeah.
So that means they can sit and do that while they're eating, watch a show or something. So yeah, it's a nice little area, definitely.
So I'm not sure if this is just something my nonna did because my dad doesn't really like garlic, but I'm just going to put a whole garlic into this, and we're going to fish it out later. So
you still get the taste of the garlic, but you don't actually,
yeah,
but it's not overpowering.
And so what I did there was just make 1 tin of stock, and we're going to put that in with the mix. I'm also going to just put a squirt of tomato puree in there as well, and throw the lid.
And I guess tomato puree sweetens it up a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, sweetens, thickens, and it wouldn't be Italian if it didn't have tomato in it, right?
Exactly. So some of the other things that we've got in our van, which I will squeeze past Mark to come and show you. So I think if you've got a van, you know that you're constantly squeezing around each other, aren't you?
It's a good job we've got the curved bench.
So we've got a few things that we like to use routinely in our van. One is a Ridge Monkey sandwich toaster. So Ridge Monkey, I believe, is a UK-based company. They originally started off providing equipment for fishermen, and slowly van lifers have got onto the trend of it. And when we started cooking in the van a lot more, we saw that a lot of people had Ridge Monkeys. We ordered one because we thought, well, everyone seems to have one, and it arrived, and I don't know if you can really see, I can put my hand over it so you can see a size comparison. It's quite small. This is the Compact XL, so it's basically like a sandwich toasty or toaster. It's got some non-stick in there. It's got a really good seal as well, so that if you have got sauces in there and you flip it, they don't all leak out. And we got it, we did a toasty in it, and we thought, well, that's probably a pointless bit of kit that we've got, but we can say we've got one. And it fast became a favourite in our van, actually. Went away with the kids. They wanted fish fingers, as kids do. And this was the fastest way we thought to cook it without getting all of our other pan and other things out. So we cooked some fish fingers in here, went down a treat with the kids. They all loved it all. And actually we started to think, well, what else could we do in here? So we started to make omelettes in there, frittatas. We've made brownies in there, chips. It makes really, really good chips, actually. And even if you just have got kids who like to eat sort of processed frozen food like our kids do, then these are great. But they're actually really versatile, so they're quite a good gadget to have in your van. And the handles do come off and store inside, so actually when you're not using it, it folds into a really small little thing that you can slot into your cupboards. So you are adding your pasta in there.
Yeah, shells, as everyone knows them. Now, obviously, it's the it's the best day ever when you get some of the ballotti beans and they fall inside the shell, and yeah, it just works so well for this kind of dish. I mean, it scoops up all the sauce. They're just the perfect shape. So, and also one pan as well. Like this dish doesn't involve a pan of pasta on the go and some sauce on the go on the other side. It's all throw into one, so it's a really ideal van life meal. So you don't want to let it ferociously bubble, you just want it to simmer. And I'm also going to put some I'm just going to put some thyme in it, actually.
Okay.
So I'm just going to show you this as well, because just part of the build, isn't it? A little plug for our festival there as well. So just along the side here of the van, I've got a little herb garden. Whoa.
You ready for your close-up?
Sorry.
So we do struggle to keep herbs alive in the van, but to be fair, you use them so often that they probably wouldn't last very long anyway. But it is nice to have fresh herbs if you've got a little space to be able to have them. But if not, the dried herbs will do the job as well. I know you're
we've got quite a selection, haven't we, of dried herbs?
Yeah. Again, probably with herbs, you're probably a bit of a herb snob as well as an oil snob, aren't you?
Just a snob, aren't I?
You like fresh.
I'm also a salt snob as well.
Yeah.
Pink Himalayan all the way. None of that sea salt stuff. All the plastic bags in it. Yeah, want some nice pink Himalayan.
So quite often Mark will make fresh pasta in the van. Today this recipe is using dried pasta, which is, it's great to just be able to use things that are up in your cupboard. If you've got a tin of beans in there, a pack of pasta. You could probably even put a tin of tomatoes in there if you wanted a really tomatoey flavour, I would imagine. So you can kind of use up some of those tins if you're somewhere where you haven't got easy access to shops and things like that. So it's quite a good cupboard recipe, isn't it?
Yep, and that'll just sit there and simmer away for a little bit now. I think this is just not so much a gadget, but I'm just going to throw it out there as well. But I think it's a staple for every kitchen, or anyone who's interested in cooking, is to have a really good knife. So this is a British steel. I actually don't know how you say it. It's either Savonaki or Savonak. That's the knife that we use, and I'm a knife snob, right?
You might see a theme appearing here.
We spent a long time looking for a good knife. I spent a long time looking for a good knife, and actually, to be honest, the second one to this £300 knife was one of the ones that we got from the local superstore, wasn't it? £30 from Tesco's. Had a wooden handle, and actually it was really, really good. And as long as you look after your knife, as long as you keep it sharp and you wash it after use, and don't let it sit there and rust or anything like that, and you
can make do with one pretty much, can't you? As long as you've got a sharp knife.
As long as it's well looked after.
Yeah. So the bit I was going to get to with talking about Mark making pasta in the van quite a lot, he's actually using it for rubbish today, but this little tray that we have in our van. So this is just an an enamel tray, and it's great actually for keeping the van tidy, because when you are cooking in a tiny space is limited, and so if you find that you've got mess everywhere, it's a lot to tidy up at the end. So by keeping all of our rubbish on this little tray, it means when you finish cooking, you can tip it into the rubbish bin, and it's all done and gone with, rather than you having to try and tidy up after. But we do also use it to make fresh pasta quite a lot, and it keeps all the mess contained in there, doesn't it?
Yep, have a little volcano of flour in there, make the well in the middle, and all the flour just stays where it is, and it just gives me enough room to press out a nice little dough. And there isn't flour everywhere apart from all over me, but that's just me.
And that's not when it falls from the cupboards as well. That's just generally when you're making things. But these all live on not the knife, but our chopping board and our tray just live on the countertop. Even as we're driving along, we do use the little squidgy pads like this.
Little non-slip mats.
And that just means that things don't slide around when you're driving along, so you don't have to necessarily pack everything away when you're ready to head off somewhere. Yeah,
everything's got one of those under it. It's under there, but you can just use a tea towel if your chopping board goes away and you get it out every time you cook, to stop the chopping board from sliding around. Just put a tea towel underneath. That's what I used to do.
But yeah, it just means that you don't have to pack everything away every time. It saves a bit of time, doesn't it? I know one of the things that you were keen to talk about was our wine glasses as well. So I don't know if you guys can see that in the shot, but I can definitely move you guys a bit closer.
Do you know what? I actually haven't washed them. It's really embarrassing now. We did a cooking demo at the caravan, motorhome and camper van. I'm not sure what way around that is.
Yeah, caravan, motorhome and camping show.
Yeah, at the NEC in front of thousands of people, and I pulled out these glasses, and it was a bit of a frantic rush to throw everything back in the van. But put the glasses.
You can see properly there.
You can lower it down.
Just to show that they're on the ceiling.
So they're on up here. This is glued. It's just got like the strongest glue in the world. And you glue the little surface up to the ceiling, and then these just go. They've got like little magnets in the bottom.
Very, very strong magnets.
They're so strong. Like, we have gone down the most remote, bumpiest road, and I've been they're going to go. They're going to fall off and smash, and they haven't. And the other thing that never seems to smash, our plate set. Now, I've just got them slid in at the side, and they have fallen off of here so many times.
We've had one casualty so far. Haven't we?
One smashed, and when it smashed, it blew. It was glass everywhere. But generally, these used to live in our other van. They used to live in the overhead cabinet, and they would fall off all the time. But they're from a company called Corel. You can get them in the US, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they're quite a big company, I think. But they're super lightweight, and I don't know what they are actually made of.
I think I've seen online they might be made of like some sort of glass.
Some sort of really tough glass, but we love our plate sets. I think they look lovely and super light and super durable.
Okay, so more gadgets. So as Mark's already said, we don't have an oven in our van, so we do everything on our 2-burner hob that you can see behind us. And when we first started dating about 5 years ago, Mark's always been kind of the one that does most of the cooking in terms of main meals and things like that. Although I can cook, it's not my favourite thing to do, whereas Mark really enjoys it, so it's made sense for him to kind of do the majority of the cooking. But I am a keen baker, and so for me, trying to work out how to make breads and cakes and things in the van was difficult until we came across the Omnia. So we've had ours for about 4 years now. It's very well loved, as you can see. So it's like a little flying saucer. And the middle has got a hole in it, as you can see here. And the way that it basically works is the bottom bit sits on top of your hob. The heat passes up through the middle and bounces off the lid when you've got it on. So the heat comes from the bottom and the top and means that you can cook things in there. We use a silicone liner every time we use it, pretty much, especially for cakes or bread. Just makes it easier to get it out. The non-stick is really good on there. It holds the heat very well as well. So if you are baking something in there, you can take it out sooner than you probably need to, because the heat's going to be held in that silicone liner. And yeah, as Mark says, you may want to consider getting 2 silicone molds, one for savoury and one for sweet, because obviously with a lot of silicone products, it can hold flavours and smells and things. And Mark once decided to make a fish pie in the Omnia. So Omnia is kind of my baby, but he phoned me when he was away in the van. So he made a fish pie.
An amazing fish pie.
An amazing fish pie. Really and I said, oh yeah, no, great. And then afterwards I thought, I wonder how he made an amazing fish pie in the van. I wonder what he used. And then I went to use my Omnia a couple of days later, lifted the lid off, and lo and behold, was hit with the smell of fish. So it meant I couldn't make my cake that day. And I scrubbed it. We tried loads of different things, didn't we, to try and get it ready to be used again. And eventually I saw a hack online about opening up the pores of the silicone. So with the food grade quality silicone, you can heat it up and the pores actually open within it, and it means that you can clean it properly. So I stuck it on the hob, heated it up for about 5-10 minutes, took it out. It was quite hot, so I have to be very careful, but cleaned it with some hot soapy water, and actually that got into the pores, left it to dry, and it was good as new. So if you do use any high grade food silicone or food quality silicone in your van, then that's a tip for getting smells out.
Just going back to the pasta fagioli. I'm going to put some spinach in there, and also while Sophie was talking, I actually found that it started to thicken up, and if that happens, you just put a bit more water in. So yeah, a little bit more water, and then we'll put some spinach in. Move this a little bit round.
There we go. So just baby leaf spinach going in there.
Yeah. And
obviously the thing is with spinach, isn't it? You always pack a whole bag in, and it dissolves to nothing, it feels like, doesn't it? So a good generous helping of spinach in there.
Yeah. Let's put the lid on.
So some of the other things we have in our van are collapsible products as well. So things like this mixing bowl. Again, silicone bowl, completely flat when it's stored, and then when we need to use it, we can just pop it out and have a mixing bowl ready, or even just, we've used it for salads and things, haven't we? The only thing I would say is if you are mixing quite vigorously, be prepared. Obviously it is collapsible, so if you push down too hard, you'll pop all your ingredients out into your face.
Has that happened? That's not happened to me.
It's almost happened to me, but I've caught it in time, yeah. So yeah, and our measuring cups as well, they're all collapsible, just to save space really. So any sort of space saving tips, and obviously if you've got any space saving tips that you want to share with others, do just comment.
Well, we're talking about silicone stuff, actually, and I've just seen it on the side as well. This is something I use quite a lot as well, and all that is a extra large ice cube tray. But what I do is whenever I'm making something like some chicken or even vegetable stuff, I can make stock up, and I can just put this in the freezer. Our freezer's the little 50 litres Dometic down the bottom there, but it's got a small sort of freezer compartment. But I actually find that really useful, especially with like curry pastes as well. When I make a curry paste, I'll batch it up, put that in the freezer, and then when I'm in a hurry, all I have to do is pull that out the freezer, take one of those out in a pan, let it heat up, throw some chickpeas into there, and I've got a nice little chickpea curry in no time at all. That's something I do quite a lot, especially when I'm on my own and I don't really want to spend a lot of time cooking.
And it helps you have portions as well, doesn't it?
It does.
If you're a solo traveller, you can sort of portion things. And the other thing it's really good for as well is you can also put pancake batter in there. So you can, I mean, obviously you wouldn't get many in there, but if you mix up some pancake batter, and then you can put sort of, if you've got one kid who likes blueberries and one who likes chocolate chips and whatever, you can actually have individual pancake portions in there, which is really good. And another thing is if you are part-time in your van, you can actually prepare things and have them packaged ready to use when you go away. So things like, if we're coming away somewhere and I'm making a cake, I will quite often weigh out the dry ingredients at home in a bag, sort of a Ziploc bag, so then when I do come to making it in the van, I haven't got to worry about weighing everything out. It's just all the dry ingredients there, and I've only got to add the wet. Because for me, being a baker, and if any of you guys do baking as well, in the UK especially, we are very used to measuring things in either grams or ounces. So it's quite unusual for us to sort of measure in cups and things like that. And scales just don't always really work in the van. One, you're not always very level, which probably throws it off kilter a little bit. But two, they're just an extra thing that you don't need to take with you. So slowly I got used to baking with cups and spoon measurements. And it does make it a lot easier, definitely. But yeah, if I can weigh the dry ingredients at home, it just saves more time and space when we're in the van. It means I don't have to have all these different things with me as well. So yeah, if you are part-timer, that's a really good tip as well.
And the pasta is starting to cook, so I'm going to take this point and I'm going to take some Parmigiano Reggiano. I'm going to use all of this, including the rind. This is one that I quite often use the rind. That may gross some of you out, but there's a lot of goodness in that. So just cut that off. Just cut it up a couple of times.
And is that like a Italian thing? Does the rind get used in a lot of recipes?
It's either my family being really stingy and waste not, want not, or it is an Italian thing, but it might be an Italian trait as well. Waste not, want not. So I'm going to throw that in, and then I'm going to grind. I'm going to grate some cheese into it. Again, you can switch that out easily for some vegan cheese.
Yeah, and you do, if you are vegetarian, some of the Parmigianos you have to be a bit careful with as well, because I believe a lot of the harder cheeses sometimes have rennet in, which isn't suitable for vegetarians if you're fussy about that sort of thing. So yeah, do double check.
Yeah, that's true. I think Parmesan is one, isn't it, that does?
Yeah, but you can get vegetarian Parmesan, so yeah, it's worth looking out for.
I'm a cheese snob.
Okay, are you a cheese snob as well? Are we adding that to your list of things that you're a snob for? About?
I think my favourite cheese is probably Parmigiano, followed by cheddar. I think cheddar is an amazing cheese. And
we visited Cheddar Gorge last year, actually, didn't we, in Somerset in the UK, and they are where cheddar originates from, I guess, Cheddar Gorge.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was the best cheddar, definitely, without a doubt.
Went in all the caves, didn't we? The caves are amazing, proper cave cheese.
Yeah, and a big walk beforehand, which epic. I don't mind walking. I'm not very good with inclines. I will pretty much complain the whole way up. So yeah, there was a little bit of whinging until we got to the top, and then once you're at the top of the gorge, it was just breathtaking, wasn't it? It was awesome. Really beautiful.
There's a YouTube video, isn't there, of that?
There is, yeah, but if you're in the UK or if you visit the UK, it is definitely worth a visit, I would say.
Definitely.
So that's going to simmer for a bit longer now, is it?
Yeah, I'm going to give that about 10 more minutes. So I suppose in total that's going to be about 30 minutes. It's one of those things where you've just got to keep looking and stirring and just see what the pasta's looking like.
I think while we're waiting for that to sort of finish cooking and thickening up, I'll talk about another sort of gadget that we have in our van. So this is our Wonderbag, which is huge, as you can see. We're mixed about it, to be honest. So this is another one of Mark's finds, and I think it's a really worthwhile organisation. It's got a really good ethos, and it does a lot of good things for a lot of people, but it is quite bulky for van life. But essentially it is a thermal oven, essentially, isn't it? A heatless thermal oven.
They call it a thermal oven, a Dutch oven.
So you can take your pan out, and this pan that we're cooking with, that does fit really easily in here. But it means if we were thinking, oh, actually we're going to leave that to cook while we go for a walk, we didn't want to leave the gas on, then we can stick that in here. It will take a little bit longer to cook than it would do on the hob. By the time we come back, it will be perfectly cooked through. And we've cooked meat and things in here, or finished cooking meat and things in here, haven't we? So,
yeah.
And I guess you can use it as a seat or a cushion if you're not using it with something in there, or just for storage. Like sometimes we will store the Omnia and things in here, just because it is a bit of a big bit of equipment.
You can. I've seen people put them in the in those little. I don't know if you can buy them in the US, but you can in the UK supermarkets. But it's like a polythene type bag with a hole in it, and you can attach your Hoover to it, and it sucks it all out, and that will shrink down. Like I remember the day we brought that, it was in a little box like this. So I was like,
I think
oh
they've
no,
got a
I've ordered
video
like the
of,
small
like,
version
of it being opened and it explodes everywhere. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But that helps with storage, and that's actually quite a good little van life hack. Those things I've seen a lot of people do that with storing clothes and things.
But yeah, you love that, and
I do.
I'm mixed because I just think the space is a bit of an issue. But
I used it a lot when I was working in an office, and I'd park up well, I'd be in the office all day long, but I'd sneak out at lunchtime and I'd make my dinner and make a video. Just that's what I do. I like cooking. So yeah, I'd make my dinner then, stick it in the Wonderbag, and then finish my day in the office, and then take the dog for a walk, and then come back, and I've got a nice something cooking. Works really well with stews and things.
Yeah.
I liked
and
it.
joints of meat. So it's got its uses.
It
definitely. That's smelling really good.
It is good. What other gadgets have we got kicking around? I mean, I've got lots of like
You have
just typical chefy like chef rings and squidgy bottles and things, but that's not really van stuff. That's just me loving cooking. But we've got our overhead cabinets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something's gonna fall.
That's for it's like a powdered milk. Really good milk alternative actually. You can just make a black coffee. I do drink black coffee, I have to admit, but you could make a black coffee and just put a spoon of powdered milk in. That's really good stuff.
I've used it in vegan cakes as well.
Yeah.
So because I personally don't like plant-based milks generally, and Mark will generally have black coffee, we don't get through a lot of milk in the van. So if I'm baking a cake and it requires milk, especially vegan cakes that need plant-based milk, that's amazing because you just put the required amount in, mix it with water, and it's like having oat milk.
Like oat
I mean,
milk,
it is oat milk. So yeah, things like that are great for, especially if you are travelling, because they're going to keep well and you're not going to have to keep going to shops to replenish things. So yeah, another great tip that you found accidentally.
This is a really cool gadget. This is a thermometer. It's called a meter. And what you do with that, I mean, it's great. Especially when you go for walks and things as well. Let's say I had a lump of brisket in the Flavorstone pan. This is something that happens quite often as well. So I stick the thermometer into it, and then it's got an app as well. And then the app on your phone will tell, you can set it and say, I want it medium rare, or however you want your meat and chicken or whatever. And then once it's set, it will work on the temperature. So you put the thermometer in and you've got an app, and it's got a gauge. It tells you what temperature your meat's at. Or vegetables, you can use it with anything really. Cakes.
You can select on the app what it is you're cooking, don't you? So it's very clever.
And it tells you when it reaches that temperature, and then you can take it off, and it even tells you how long for it to rest for as well. Really, really clever, and a real game changer for cooking meat, especially again when you don't have an oven and you're doing things a little bit unique, I suppose. I mean, cooking some meat on a stovetop is it's not normal, is it really? You'd put it at slow cook
like on
brisket
open fire, or those sorts of things really.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a cool gadget, meter.
And I think the box charges it. That's what I was just trying to work out. So don't throw the box away if you buy one, basically.
Yeah, the little wooden cradle that it sits in. It's just got one little AA battery, and it lasts forever, and it just charges it every time you're finished.
But for you, like, you do have loads of herbs and spices and things, and I think obviously that's not practical for everybody that's travelling in a van. So if you are going to make recipes that require certain mixes and things, sometimes it's worth just buying the pre-made mixtures, and rather having a number of different herbs. Or if you're a part-time van lifer, you can always just use your herbs at home to make your own little seasoning packets and stuff. It just saves space in the van if you just don't want to have 200 jars of herbs and spices like Mark's got tucked under there.
Yeah. But you see, I like cooking. I mean, this cupboard is full of flour. I've got chickpea flour, I've got polenta, I've got semolina flour, I've got 00 flour, I've got plain flour. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. Nobody wants to look in our cupboards.
Oh no, now you've said that.
I'm not going to go in that one. I was just thinking...
Quite often you'll get hit, but it's the same with most vans, I would imagine. You get hit with something in the head when you open an overhead cupboard.
This is well used and got a bit grubby, but this is the family recipe book that I was telling you about. So we've got on there, we've got my nan and granddad at the top, or nonna and nonna, and there's my auntie as well, Auntie Marisa. She is a legend in the kitchen as well as my nan, but you know, without giving you enough time to copy it. This is the all the
Top
kind of
secret recipes in there.
Meatballs, cottage pie, sun-dried rolls.
And I think the other
rolls.
thing that I've found really interesting since meeting you and your family is that a lot of dishes are different depending on which part of Italy you're from, and which part of Italy sort of you're cooking in, I guess. So your family's recipe will always have egg in lasagna, boiled egg in lasagna, which is something I'd never had heard of before I met you and your family. So, and that's a traditional sort of southern type of lasagna, isn't it?
It's not so much like a lasagna maybe up north where is a lot of sounding Italian there. Is a lot of it's got a lot of minced meat in it and layers, and you might go to a supermarket and buy a big old lasagna, but lasagna in the southern Italy is more about the ragu, which is more tomatoey, but it's got all the meats and things that are cooked in the tomato. Then you just use the tomato. So and less white sauce as well. And it's just it's more of a layered pasta-y. Don't know. I might make one day. Put it on YouTube.
Be good.
Yeah.
So our very first day, Mark obviously decided, well, not our very first date, your first date cooking for me, he decided to make an Italian dish and stick with what he knows. But I think it was date number 3. It was right up before Christmas. I think it was Christmas Eve, and Mark turned up in his van. So he had a VW T4 at that point, who was called Betsy, and it wasn't the easiest to cook in because you couldn't
on my knees.
Up in there. But he turned up and the van was all decked out in fairy lights and Christmas scented candles, and I was living with my mum at the time with my 2 small children, and so I came out ready, the van was ready, and in this big sort of Stanley flask he had his ragu that he'd been cooking for hours at home at his mum's house, and then you just made the pasta there and then in the van, didn't you?
Yeah.
And we had spaghetti bolognese for our first cooked meal that you cooked me, and then over time you sort of started making more and more sort of meals in the van, didn't we? And I started baking in there, and that's where Vanlife Eats came about, really.
It is, yeah. We kind of thought that when we were looking at recipes, it's like there isn't a recipe site that specifically gives you recipes without having an oven, for example, or things that are...
Or like 100 pans, and it's not a real niche for just people that have got a
tiny
reduced
kitchen
setup. So limited facilities, limited terms of like water, gas, all of that sort of thing. And so we decided to create one, didn't we? So that's how Vanlife Eats was born, really. We kind of... Mark always says, and I'm going to roll my eyes, about how food brings people together, and it really does. And this brought people together across the world, really. So when we set up Vanlife Eats, we approached Vanlifers from all over the world, and we said, this is our idea. We want you to share your favourite meal to make and eat in your van with Vanlifers from around the world. And it meant that we had an amazing response to it. Firstly, like, thank you to everybody that submitted recipes onto our website, and anyone can submit a recipe. It just means that we have a range of recipes for different setups. There will be people that have got ovens. There'll be people that have got a camping stove. There'll be some people that only cook on an open fire. And so there's a number of different recipes for different setups and different tastes and cuisines as well, because obviously as much as we like to eat what we like to eat, it might not be what other people enjoy. So it's really good to have those recipes from all over the world from different people, and it's a real sort of sense of community, isn't it, of knowing what people like to eat and share in their van.
And it's not only like, it's exciting for us as well, because I mean we do a few articles for different magazines, and they quite often give us a brief. Like the last one was Moroccan food, wasn't it? Cook something that's Moroccan. So that's exciting for us, because then we'll cook some Moroccan street food that's really van friendly, and then we can put that on the website as well, and it just incorporates travel into. I mean, I don't just cook Italian food. I'm giving everyone that image recently that I'm just cooking Italian food, but I'm really excited about the weird and wonderful food.
You love trying new things just in general, don't you?
I will eat anything. I will eat anything. Everything's got a flavour. It's not about what you like and what you don't like. It's just everything has a flavour, and I like food.
But yeah, I think for us and our situation, we can't go travelling around Europe and things like that in our van just because of work and family commitments. So for us, being able to travel with food or through food has really sort of like made our van life experience more enjoyable, I think. So yeah.
And I think as the whole Vanlife Eats thing has unfolded, and we've actually, I mean, we were passionate cooks, and now we're very passionate van lifers, and it's all kind of unfolding into something that, like, I mean, what direction can we take this in? And now we're looking at doing a cookbook. We're looking at doing a hell of a lot more travel. Some of it because of you and the kids and stuff. A lot of it will be on my own.
Yeah.
But I'm going to just travel around the UK, trying all these different weird foods.
And recreating some of them as well in the van.
Definitely recreating. Just trying to find some things that are interested in. So if there's anything in particular you guys are interested in, we're always open to talking about food. And it won't just be the UK as well. I haven't really told you this, but I'm going to be venturing away for stints of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, can watch what I want on the telly.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, like we say, if there's any questions, do ask us below. We will be answering any online questions that we see. So I think this is probably getting to the stage where it's almost ready to dish up.
It is. It's looking absolutely perfect. Al dente, the way it should be.
And we've got the...
Do you want to try a bit?
That's a big clove of garlic. I'm not going to fall for that. We've got the ventilation right now as well, so we're not standing here crying in front of you. Anyone that tunes in at that point will think, what on earth's going on in that demo? Both standing there crying. So, okay, we're ready to dish up?
Yeah, let's dish up. Let's.
Okay, we'll see you guys in a sec.
Yeah?
I am ready for some of this.
This easily serves.
That's enough for me, yeah. Thank you.
Easily serves 4, I think, and that's like another thing really with the flat pack kind of clip plastic tubs for, like, this will be lunch for tomorrow or something.
Yeah. Good way to save and use up your leftovers.
Yep. And then again, it is never complete without this. We're gonna have to take a photo so we can put the recipe up on the website.
Secret recipe. Slightly different from a family recipe though.
I'll put more cheese on mine.
Thank you. That's like when you go to a restaurant and they say when they're doing the parmesan, and I just sit there waiting until I've got a little mountain on my plate before I say when. Right, well I think we are going to sit down and enjoy this, aren't we? So...
Are you going to be in this?
Well, can you do it after, once we've eaten? Like once we've tried it?
No. Too late.
This is what I have to do every time we have something to eat in the van, because it's ready and then we have to spend ages getting photos before we can actually eat. Do you want me to move?
No, all good. Now we can eat. But no meal's complete without Italian wine, right? I'm a wine snob, to tell you that.
Add that to the list. Well, thank you guys very much for joining us. It's been really lovely to be asked to do this. So we're going to sit and enjoy our meal, and yeah, we will see you guys soon, hopefully.
Bon appetito.
Cheers.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Oh, looks good.
That's toasty.
You say you don't wanna get in trouble, that you're doing fine cause you got me. I don't wanna break your little bubble, but you gotta wake up to reality. Cause I can see in your eyes, your head is full of dreams. Tears are a proof of failure, you just gotta let them flow without judge. There's so many ways to be happy. You can do whatever you like. You don't have to be ready. You just gotta trust the right. Don't have to be scary. You just gotta follow the light. You're able to be happy. You can do whatever you like. You don't have to be ready. You don't have to be. I see you hesitating while you're waiting, like somebody's gonna give it to you. You gotta chase it, gotta believe it. You gotta go get it for yourself. Cause I can see in your eyes, your head is full of dreams. Tears are a proof of failure, you just gotta let them flow without judge. There's so many ways to be happy. You can do whatever you like. You don't have to be ready. You just gotta trust the right. Don't have to be scary. You just gotta follow the light. You're able to be happy. You can do whatever you like. You don't have to be ready. You don't have to be. You don't have to be ready. You don't have to be. You assist got me looking like this, like no one before. 'Cause I must be strong, 'cause this might go on.